She's got long legs and short shorts, but she ain't got no teeth. She wears a red bandana on her head and she smiles so sweet. She'll steal your heart at very first sight, she'll rip apart your soul. She'll torture your mind and waste your time and drag you down the road. 'Cause she's a Jezebel, St. Andrew Jezebel. 'Cause she's a Jezebel, St. Andrew Jezebel.
Hey y'all, I hope you're staying cool. This has got to be the hottest summer here in Bay County that I've ever experienced. Of course, I say that every year. It's probably not true. It's probably me. For those of you just tuning in for the first time, welcome to the St. Andrews Jezebel Podcast. My name is Ashley Feller. I'm a third-generation Panama City native, and I'm also a singer-songwriter and working musician in the area. This week, I'll be covering some happenings for the week of July 28th through August the 4th, and then after that, we've got our salty local for this week, and that's Scott Hightower. He's a local singer-songwriter and musician. I haven't seen him in a while, so it'll be fun to catch up. And then after that, we've got the fishing report from the St. Andrews Bay News from July 27th in 1926. I want to thank everybody for your love and support, for following the podcast on all the different platforms. I've got a lot to cover, so make sure you've got some nice snacks, maybe a nice cold beer, maybe a glass of iced tea, whatever you need. Get comfy and enjoy the show. So to start things off, I'd like to share a few things that you can do in St. Andrews just about any time with your friends and family. Many of these activities are free, and I hope you enjoy them. The first item on my list is the Butterfly Gardens. The historic St. Andrews Waterfront Partnership has 7 gardens planted around St. Andrews, and I've heard that there's plans for 12. There is one next to Floriopolis, and there is another one next to Little Indigo Spa. So the next time you're out strolling around, snap a photo and post it to the St. Andrews Jezebel Facebook page. We'd love to see them. Next, if you like to read, there are the little free libraries all over St. Andrews. I can tell you that there is one next to Los Antojitos, and there's also one next to the Panama City Publishing Museum. And this is essentially an honor system library trade. You can take a book, you can leave a book, and I've found all kinds of items in there. The next thing you can do is check out the current Art in Public Spaces exhibit on Janie's Fence. This is put together by the Floriopolis volunteers. Right now, there's a giant snake on Janie's Fence because the theme is reptiles and amphibians. And here's some of the artists that volunteered their time to contribute to the exhibit. Silas Dyer, Kelly Dyer, Jared Wampler, J.A. Robinson, Heather Parker, Jim Hayton, Maverick Knowlton, Krista Eggleston, and more. All of us at Floriopolis would like to thank our generous sponsors, Brad Stevens, Crystal Overend, Ellen Maplesden, Pat Neese, and Denise Nyland. When I used to live in St. Andrews, I used to really like to sit and enjoy the sunset on the St. Andrews Marina. I would pick up something good to eat from one of the vendors in St. Andrews, or I'd get a coffee from Amavita, and you can sit on the swings or at the tables and read your book and just watch the scenery and people watch. It's really a wonderful experience that I think everyone should take advantage of. Also, check out Oaks by the Bay Park. Make sure you check out the wood sculptures that were created by a chainsaw artist. And also see how many birds you can identify. You can also visit the Old Century, which is the oak tree situated right in the center of the park, and it's estimated to be about 250 years old. Okay, so here's something that you're going to need an appointment for, but I thought some of the new mothers might enjoy this. So at Little Indigo Spa, they have a new package that's called Cocapelli Mother Earth. It's a 90-minute session for $145, and it's a soothing and nurturing therapy for mom-to-be, prenatal massage with a focus on easing stress and strain on the back, neck, and joints, relieving fatigue, and benefiting the lymphatic system. You receive a full foot ritual with honey and lavender, mini facial with scalp massage, and mom-to-be body massage to relieve tension. Call 850-303-3669 or visit their Facebook page to make your appointment. I'd like to welcome Sugar Buzzed, who is the newest merchant in St. Andrews. They offer gourmet cupcakes, chocolate-covered everything, and they also deliver Monday through Thursday within 5 miles of the store. I keep hearing wonderful things. One of these days I'm going to break my diet and I'm going to go visit them. If you like Italian food, Enzo's offers 10% off every Monday for all the military folks. They have burgers, pasta dishes, salads, and of course pizza. I heard that the 7th graders from Girls Incorporated had tons of fun at the Publishing Museum on Monday. I heard they were learning about history and they were creating their own personal accordion books on one of the portable presses. Since we're talking about the Panama City Publishing Museum, don't forget to check out the new print exhibit, and I believe this is the last week you can see it. It features master printer Betty West and fellow printers Bonnie Blue, Celeste Hansel, Deborah Kivett, Robbie Fehrenbach, Shirley Howell, and more. The museum is open Tuesday through Friday, 1 to 5:30, and Saturdays from 9 to 1. Of course, I can't forget the market at St. Andrews. It's every Saturday in the lot next to the shrimp boat. They open up at 8 a.m., and of course, there's all kinds of produce, arts and crafts, food trucks, and there's even live music that's brought to you by Floriopolis, and that begins at 10 a.m. This week, the featured musicians are Tyler and Sandy. I hope you go and check them out. I also need to mention that the art of Kristen Anderson will be on display on the walls of the Taproom this Saturday, and you can also meet Kristen at the Taproom starting at 6. Ask anybody. St. Andrews is a wonderful, supportive community, especially to those who are just getting their footing as an artist or as a musician. There's several open mics that you can attend. The first one that I can think of is actually a comedy open mic, and it's put on by Panama City Comedy and Destination Panama City at the Library on Beck every Wednesday. Sign up is at 7:30, and I believe that the comedy acts actually go from 8 to 10. The next open mic is hosted by my dear friends Lynn Baker and Woody Jenkins, and this one is for all the singer-songwriters out there, as well as folks who just like to play. So bring your instruments, bring your songs, covers, or originals, both are welcome, and come to the library on Beck from 7 to 10 and play some music with Lynn and Woody. You can even get dinner delivered by Slice House, and they've also got a great selection of beer and wine. While we're on the subject of Little Village, you could spend your brunch there. It starts at 11, and they are featuring music by Charlie Cigar's Traveling Piano Bar from 11 to 2. That's all the community events I have for this week. Tune in next week for more. One of the best things about St. Andrews is that you can see live music every day. That's right, there is live music being played somewhere in St. Andrews 7 nights a week. Fortunately, my friend Ken Shafer creates and publishes a weekly schedule for St. Andrews as well as most of Bay County. Ken's spreadsheet schedule is updated often when there's any changes. Ken also shares individual music events and is walking the walk and talking the talk when it comes to supporting live music. Not only does Ken supply the music schedules, but he attends several music performances a week and takes fantastic photos of the musicians. As a working musician myself, I feel blessed to have Ken and his wife Donna as treasured members of our local musical family. Make sure you like and follow Ken's page, Salty Sounds in St. Andrews, and Oh Boy Music on Facebook, so that you'll always know where all the live music will happen. Thank you so much, Ken, for everything you do. When Scott Hightower received his first guitar at 9 years old, he began his journey that would lead to the life of a songwriter and driven creative. After experimenting with a couple of genres as an adolescent, Scott was moved by a concert performed by the Dirty Heads and made the decision to begin playing music that inspires happiness, positive energy, and of course, dancing. Scott performs regularly in St. Andrews, as well as Port St. Joe and Panama City Beach. He's enjoyed local success with his former band, but is now embarking on a solo career with an emphasis on original music. Good morning, Scott. Thank you for being here at Floriopolis today. So, how did your creative journey begin?
Well, that's a really interesting question. So I guess it would start about where I grew up. My environment, I grew up in a small town. Very small town, if you guys are familiar with Weewa, one red light town. And I didn't quite fit in there. I have to say, it's a lot of outdoors things, a lot of small town things that I just really didn't find my niche with. So I reached out to music. And that was my creative outlet. I got my first guitar when I was 9 years old, and I just started playing, self-taught completely. and just fell in love with it every night in my room. Music, 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 just playing around. And as that began to grow, it turned into other things. I write poetry. I like to do some art. I'm not very good at it, but I like to try it out.
You write a lot of songs, and I hope I'm accurate in describing this, but you would probably describe them as West Coast reggae, correct?
That is a very appropriate description, actually. I like to call it West Coast reggae hip hop. Because it's definitely not your typical roots reggae that you would expect to hear. It's not Bob Marley and it's not the Wailers or anything like that, but it's always going to have those roots backgrounds in it to make it still reggae. But then it throws the West Coast hip hop into it. There's a lot of high end beats. There's a lot of energy. I do some rapping. It's a lot of fun. It's dance music. I like to have fun. I like everybody to dance. So I play and I write dance music.
That's what it's all about. We share that trait in common. And so, did you start out in that genre, or did you find your way there somewhere along the way?
It's actually been quite a journey to get to this. I have tried many different things. I actually grew up on, 90s grunge and rock. I was big into the Seattle scene, huge Nirvana fan, Alice in Chains. That's where I actually started. And I also integrated a lot of metal with that. I listened to a lot of, the Big Four, Pantera, Metallica. I grew up on harder music. And that's what I went with when I first started playing music with bands. I've been in several different bands over the years. And when I started, I was in a, 90s type rock band, alternative. And then that grew into a metal type band where I was a metal vocalist. And I've also been in a few rap projects. But then ultimately in 2015, they were hosting a festival in Crawfordville here in Florida, and it was called Blaze Fest. And I went to check it out. And one of the headliners was the Dirty Heads, which is a very popular West Coast reggae band. And I'd never heard of them, never really got into them. And I was completely blown away by how just positive the music was. And I went home that day and I told my band, I was like, this is what we're going to try now. So I went from actually being a metal guitar player and a metal singer to reggae music, which is a complete 180 and then some. I had to completely reteach myself how to play guitar. I had to teach myself how to become a better entertainer instead of just a guy who shreds on a guitar. I was never really that good at guitar, but I had to completely relearn everything. And the thing that I found, the reason I made this switch is because music is very powerful with your emotions. A lot of people don't realize this at the time, but it can drive your thoughts. When you're sad, sometimes you listen to sad music. When you're happy, you listen to uplifting music. When you miss someone, every song that you hear might remind you of them. Well, metal music kind of made me feel angry, and even though I enjoyed playing it, I didn't really like the feeling of it. It was just a show. It wasn't, nothing really positive came from it. Well, when I play reggae music, I'm happy. I'm so happy when I play it. And I feel like other people are happy. You see them dancing, you see the energy. And so I made the switch. And that's what I do now. I enjoy the fact that I have versatility. I can still do some 90s rock and I like to rap a lot. And I really like to keep things mixed up. But reggae is definitely what I plan on doing forever now.
Well, you're great at it. I've seen you live several times and I've loved every single set I've seen you do. And, you were just sharing your journey from the transition from, being an enthusiast of metal and a little bit harder sound. That's not unusual. I've heard so many different musicians who, they admire the technical aspect it takes to play it. They like the hard sound. It's an outlet for aggression. But like you, they end up I've actually met a lot of folks that ended up playing bluegrass and they used to be these, wild shredders. It's something else.
Well, just like you mature with anything in life, you mature with the music. You may start out with one thing at a young age thinking that that's the direction you want to go in, but we grow, right? Every day. I'm sure even now, I notice that you're always, putting new things into your sound and your show. We always want to try to find something that makes it different or makes it evolve. And ultimately, I found my spot. And when I leave the stage, I feel like I've spread happiness, which is way better than what I felt like when I still like to listen to metal music. It's fun, it's good for working out, but I don't leave feeling like I made everybody happy.
So you write a lot of songs. I remember the first time I heard some of your songs was at the Battle of the Balladeers out there at Newbies 2. It was an event put together by Casey Phelps. And I liked your songs. And how do you approach the songwriting process?
And so I remember that as well, 2015. That was my first songwriting event. And I was very nervous. And, I actually didn't do any reggae songs then. I was trying to do something out of the box. And that really pushed me with songwriting. I found songwriting to be actually very difficult because it's something that cannot be forced. It has to be natural. And I feel like there's a time when it's appropriate. I have to wait for a moment to write a song. I can't sit down and say, okay, let's write a song today. It happens naturally. I'll sit and I'll just start playing and I'll try to use some background noise. And then all of a sudden, while I'm playing, something will just pop out at me and I catch that moment, that spark, right? And I feel like I can't write music based off anything I haven't experienced, because how can I tell a story if I don't know what I'm telling? So I try to base my songwriting off of things that I understand and things that I've experienced in life. And basically what I do is I don't schedule a songwriting session. I don't create an expectation or set a deadline for writing songs, which can be dangerous if you're, making promises or setting other people's expectations, saying, hey, I'm going to have this album out or this demo ready by this date, etc. I don't do that, because if I know I have some things that need to be done, I know, all right, we've got to get some songs written, but I can't rush it. So I like to sit and I like to let it come naturally. I'll start playing the guitar and I just do that for hours until something hits me. If nothing hits me that day, I don't write a song. And I'm kind of weird. I don't write lyrics before I write my guitar parts. My guitar always comes first, because for some reason to me, my guitar parts fuel my lyrics. I draw the emotion that I feel is coming from the actual sound of my music to match the lyrics that I write. So if I'm playing something melodic that I feel is, maybe something very deep and innovating, and I'll try to write something that matches that. Or if I come up with a reggae riff that sounds very, party driven and dance driven and just, a have fun song, I'll base my lyrics off of that. I'll throw in some rap lyrics or something that drives a good time. I feed off of the energy from the actual music more than the lyrics themselves, because I feel like the music can speak for itself very loudly without lyrics sometimes. And I like to take the emotion that's coming off of my written guitar riffs to try to generate my lyrics, if that makes sense. I have a very kind of confusing writing style, but it works. We all have different styles.
And that's the beauty of being a creative, is there's no one right or wrong way. And I'm glad you said that, because it's actually a contrasting answer. The question that I've asked some other singer-songwriters who have been on the show. And it's been enlightening to learn, and good for you for allowing that space for something to come and, for a song to emerge. You play in St. Andrews from time to time. What do you love about playing over here?
So St. Andrews is absolutely awesome. If you would have told me, so I've been playing in Panama City Beach and Panama City now, both with bands in the past and solo for probably the better part of a decade now. So I can say I'm a pretty seasoned local vet. If you would have told me 2 years ago that St. Andrews was the happening spot to play music, I would have told you you're crazy. I would have said, no, you need to be at the beach. That was just not an option for me. And I can tell you that now I have watched St. Andrews grow from a place that I didn't think I would even play any shows at to really the only place I love to play shows at. I love playing all shows, but St. Andrews is my home. I've watched this place grow over the last 2 years into such a hub of creativity and amazing live music. We have so much talent in this area. It amazes me. I see new faces all the time. And, it seems like there was a spark. I attribute my start as a solo artist really, before then, I had a band that played mostly Panama City Beach and the surrounding area called the Billy Goats Grub.
I remember that.
We played for quite a few years, and we had a moderate amount of local success. It was a good time, but that was mostly the beach. Well, when I decided that I was going to do soul, the Salty Hobo called me in out of nowhere, and they really helped me take off, And once the Salty Hobo started, they started all these innovative events, They had these block parties, and, then you saw the Salty Oak Brewery come up, and then Bergen Barrel, and then, you just see all these businesses starting to pop open, and it's like, wow. I love St. Andrews because it's always innovating. This place does not just sit still. I mean, let's face it, the beach is geared more towards what tourists want to do, what tourists want to hear, and that's understandable. We have to generate business for our county, right? St. Andrews generates what locals want to see. It's a special place for us because we know everybody here. We get to entertain the people we love, and we get to try new things with the people that want to try new things as well in this town. Now, it's always great to see tourists. We always want to see them. But I know if I want to hear my friends play or if I want to come to something that's fun and exciting for locals, I'm probably going to find it in St. Andrews. And I love the fact that we keep seeing new businesses start here. We keep seeing new events hosted here. And it's always beautiful here. We've got the marketplace that's really blown up. I play a lot of Saturday afternoons over at the Salty Hobo, and I see the marketplace in full flow, and there's so many people. And for the first time this year, I'm a little ashamed to say I never stopped at any of these side shops before to check things out. And I went in them the last couple of weeks, and we have a lot of beautiful little spots here, So St. Andrews is just a great place all around. I mean, you've got great food everywhere. You've got great music. You've got great beer. I mean, what more can you ask for? The atmosphere here is amazing. I mean, I get to play at the Salty Hobo outside and look over at the marina on a sunny day. It's how do you beat that? And on the beach, you've got all the hustle bus. You've got all the traffic and the tourism, and everybody wants me to play Jimmy Buffett. And I'm just, I appreciate the fact that we're able to make such big things happen in St. Andrews while still keeping it contained into a local friendly environment and not feeling it so overwhelmed.
You went on somewhat of a hiatus. Anything coming up soon in the area now that you're back to playing music? Are you playing anywhere for the rest of July or August at St. Andrews?
So I'm wrapping up my July with I have a gig on Saturday at the Salty Hobo. I've been doing daytime gigs there on Saturdays from 2 to 4. And, it's a beautiful day. We're right on the water. And that's going to wrap up my Saturday or my July schedule. My August schedule is looking kind of light. I'm starting to get to work on that. I did take my hiatus, which is good. It's great. I'm back. I got new, fresh energy, and I'm ready to start booking full time again. I've kind of been transitioning back into full time music, and now I'm just finally getting there. I'm currently in the middle of a new fall 2021 show where I've added 60 new songs consisting of, some covers and then some originals, more originals than covers actually. And from that, I'm going to start finally start working on my solo album. But right now I've kind of just been back in the rebuilding process, getting my show back together, getting some freshness back in. The problem sometimes is with me personally as a local musician is spending so much time on the grind that you forget the feeling it is of having fresh material and, adding freshness to your show. You get in sort of a kind of like an automatic cycle of gigs when you're staying busy, and when you have a personal life, I have a fiance and I have a son on the way and life moves. You have less and less time to kind of fill that creative gap in your life because you're a full-time musician who has to meet these show expectations, and then you have a life. And then, so you kind of lose some of that excitement of being a musician, right? Which is what it's all about. For me, when it comes to music, I have no grandiose dreams of, stardom or wealth. But if I can go out the rest of my days providing for my family by just playing music locally, tri-state area, whatever, if that can be my job to do what I love, I'm happy with that. With that being said, sometimes you get so caught up in it that you forget the thing you love the most is playing music. And it becomes that fear where it feels like a job, right? Where the thing you love feels like a job, and it is a job. And you lose that kind of excitement that you had when you first started doing it. And so my point to that is I had lost that. And the hiatus allowed me to get that back. I'm hungry for it again, because for me, it's about the live show itself. I love to be on stage. You've been to my shows. You see me. I have energy, and I have to dance with you guys. I can't stand there and, watch everyone dance. I work the stage. I kick off my shoes. I cannot play a show with shoes on, for the record. I can't. I have to feel that energy in my feet. So yeah, I'm back, and I'm now getting ready for my new show, putting together. Still the old show's going. That's what I'm doing, but I'm feeding a lot of new stuff into the show. I'm a loop artist, and the new loops I'm putting together are really creative, and I think people are really going to enjoy it. And I'm really trying to bring a lot to the table for, fall and the beginning of next year. I really want to come back full time strong. So that's basically what I've been spending my time working on, is not so much getting back full time lately, but getting ready to really hit it hard here in the fall.
That's awesome. I'm really happy to hear you say that because you were missed. There was a lot of times like, man, I haven't seen Scott play in a long time, but I'm glad to hear that you're back to it. So this is a question for fun. I ask all the musicians on the show, if you could play any venue, anywhere in the world, where would you play and why?
Okay, so, I thought about this question last night in depth, and, I have all these big thoughts of where I could play because, you may know this about me. I was in the military for a few years.
Yes.
I was in the Marines when I was younger, and I had the delight of traveling around the world. I got to see a lot of the big countries and a lot of the things people never get to see, and it made me think, well, where would I play? And believe it or not, if I could play anywhere, I would play in Red Rocks, Colorado. I absolutely would. And I'll tell you why. One of my favorite reggae bands of all and one of my biggest inspirations is a band called Revolution.
Oh, yeah.
If you've ever heard of them, they are absolutely amazing. The talent and the one thing I love about them the most, you sing their shows, they make the horns their stars of the show, which is something you seldom see. Usually the horns players, they're more of a background attribute. They're not really made the limelight of the show, and those guys are made the stars, and I love that. Well, I got to see a Red Rocks performance with Revolution. And the natural sound that being inside those caverns can capture is just something that you cannot recreate. I don't care what kind of technology, how much money you spend, the sound that you're able to get in that environment is amazing. And I would just love to hear that. Personally, I would love to see what my music would sound like reverberating through those caverns. I think it would be amazing. So yeah, Red Rocks, absolutely.
I love that answer because I think you might be the fifth person to have had that answer. And of course, who doesn't want to play there? So what are your creative intentions for the month of August?
My biggest intentions are, I've got a good deal of originals that have been kind of on the backlog for way too long now. One of my most frustrating aspects of songwriting, and I'm sure that all artists, and you can probably attribute to this a little bit, is when you write a song and you work on it for too long, sometimes you take something you had that was great and you end up turning it into something not so great because you stress too much about this thing or this thing, and then you're like, oh, well, I can tweak this and I can tweak this, and then so I have this backlog of all these great songs that over time I kind of stressed and tweaked into something I wasn't happy with. And what I want to do is take these songs back to their original form and keep them and kind of get those great songs put out. I've had some songs on the backlog for years now that are, and I actually found an old demo and I pulled them out and I said, you know what? These are great. Why haven't I finished these? So a lot of my time is going to be spent on original music over the months to come. I've always written original music, but with my live shows, I've put a lot of work into my cover songs and my dance music. And now I'm ready to step away from that and start reminding people that I am an original artist and I do write original music. So for August, I know I'm going to be hitting my original songs pretty hard.
I love that. That's so exciting. And you're a great songwriter. I love hearing your songs. So it's even more exciting to hear what you've got coming. So where can folks find you online and beyond?
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. It's Hightower Reggae Style. I'm just now starting to get kind of updated on all the new and improved things you can do as a musician to get your name out there. But, you can find me on the normals, and all my information's out there. It's updated with shows, and I keep a calendar, and you can send me a message or give me a call or just say hi.
Thank you so much for being here today. Folks, if you see Scott Hightower playing in St. Andrews, especially at the Hobo, make sure you go say hi, go check out his music. Again, thank you so much for being here today and taking your time to share your story and your thoughts with us. Until then, keep St. Andrews salty. Okay, for this week's Old News segment, I thought I'd share the weekly fishing report published in the St. Andrews Bay News, July 27th in 1926. Fishing Fleet News. Fish receipts this past week are reported as follows. Tecumseh, 2,950 pounds. Dorothy, 7,475 pounds. Fred Williams, 4,000 pounds. Pelagia, 1,702 pounds. Gibraltar, 9,100 pounds. The J.H. Laird, 15,800 pounds. The Seafarer, 3,350 pounds. Stella K, 1,150 pounds. Martha Lillian, 5,795 pounds. Sailings have been the Tecumseh and Favorite on the 22nd and the Seafarer on the 24th. Wow, that's the end of episode 40. Thank y'all so much for sharing and following the podcast. And if you haven't, then please do. Also, make sure to check out our new video series exclusively on YouTube. It's called The Salty Field Recordings. We'll have new episodes out for you real soon. In case you're curious, the theme song was written by me and recorded by Dave Schwartz on the campus of Gulf Coast State College. Till next time, keep St. Andrews salty.
Red lipstick, so thick, and a push-up bra. Tramp stamp, stretch marks, and a lacy thong, 'cause she's a Jezebel, St. Andrew Jezebel, 'cause she's a Jezebel, St. Andrew Jezebel.